Heart surgeon. Warning: seniors must stop these 15 dangerous habits immediately. You may not know this yet, but today we're revealing the 15 habits silently destroying your heart. Watch this video all the way through because what you discover could truly change your life. But before we dive in, we want to know, where are you watching from? Drop a comment below and let us know your city or country. Now, let's get started. Number 1. Emotional withdrawal. A quiet and often overlooked threat to heart health after age 50 is emotional withdrawal, the gradual retreat from social interaction, purposeful activity, and emotional connection. While solitude may appear harmless, especially after years of work and caregiving, long-term disengagement from human relationships can become a dangerous habit with serious consequences for cardiovascular health. Multiple studies, including a comprehensive meta-analysis published in Perspectives on Psychological Science, have shown that social isolation increases the risk of early mortality by approximately 29%. Chronic loneliness elevates cortisol and stress hormone levels, placing persistent pressure on the cardiovascular system. This stress response contributes to elevated blood pressure, arterial stiffness, and inflammation, all of which accelerate the progression of heart disease. An example from clinical observation involved a 74-year-old widower who had withdrawn from his community following the loss of a loved one. Despite no prior cardiac issues, within a few months of isolation, his blood pressure rose significantly. His sleep patterns became erratic, and he developed irregular heart rhythms. Upon resuming weekly community engagement and volunteering at a local food pantry, notable improvements were seen in both his emotional state and cardiovascular markers within 6 weeks. The human body responds powerfully to social connection because connection is not just psychological, it is physiological. Emotional withdrawal, therefore, is not merely a passive state of mind. It is an active risk factor for cardiovascular disease. Preventing its effects does not require drastic measures. A simple phone call, a shared meal, a walk with a neighbor, or joining a local activity group can reignite the systems that protect heart function and emotional resilience. The key lesson: isolation erodes the heart in silence. Connection restores it in motion. Every small interaction matters. Prioritizing even one meaningful connection this week may offer not only emotional comfort, but measurable protection for the heart. Number 2. Skipping movement. What happens to a machine when it sits idle for too long? It rusts, stiffens, and eventually stops working. The human body, especially the cardiovascular system, operates the same way. Yet one of the most common and underestimated habits in older adults is the gradual decline of daily physical movement. Not intense exercise, not marathons, just simple, consistent motion. The heart is a muscle that thrives on activity. When regular movement disappears from daily life, circulation slows, blood vessels stiffen, and muscles weaken. This sedentary pattern contributes to weight gain, insulin resistance, and high blood pressure, all of which strain the heart over time. According to the American Heart Association, just 150 minutes of moderate intensity activity per week can lower the risk of heart disease by up to 30%. Evidence from a longitudinal study published in Circulation followed over 4,000 older adults for 10 years and concluded that those who walked just 30 minutes a day had significantly lower rates of heart failure, stroke, and memory decline. Movement stimulates oxygen delivery, regulates blood sugar, improves sleep, and supports mental clarity. It is not only preventive, but restorative. One gentleman in his late 70s, previously sedentary due to arthritis, began walking 5 minutes at a time around his backyard, slowly increasing over several weeks. With gentle persistence, he regained balance, improved mood, and lowered his resting blood pressure without changing any medications. The results were not dramatic, but they were consistent, and they saved his independence. Skipping movement may seem inconsequential, especially on days of fatigue or poor weather, but each day spent in prolonged stillness silently chips away at the body's vitality. A single step, taken daily, has the power to extend life, strengthen the heart, and preserve autonomy. The lasting lesson: the body is not asking for speed, only consistency. Movement is not punishment. It is proof that life still flows. Number 3. Eating processed food often. In a small-town clinic, a man in his early 70s came in for fatigue and mild swelling in his ankles. His diet had been simple: microwave dinners, canned soups, and packaged snacks, quick and easy meals he'd grown used to after his wife passed. No one had warned him that these choices, though convenient, were slowly overwhelming his heart. Processed foods are often loaded with excess sodium, trans fats, and added sugars, all ingredients that compromise vascular health. These additives increase blood volume, raise blood pressure, stiffen arteries, and cause chronic inflammation in the heart's lining. A study published in JAMA revealed that diets high in ultra-processed food were associated with a 31% higher risk of cardiovascular disease mortality. Even items labeled low-fat or heart-smart often contain hidden sodium and artificial preservatives. Frozen meals, canned sauces, deli meats, boxed snacks, and sugary cereals dominate many kitchens, not from neglect but from habit and convenience. However, the body pays a high price for this convenience, through fatigue, fluid retention, and eventual cardiac strain. Scientific research from the National Institutes of Health found that participants who consumed ultra-processed foods consumed, on average, 500 more calories per day and gained significantly more weight over 2 weeks compared to those on unprocessed diets. Excess weight alone increases cardiac workload and disrupts blood sugar regulation. An intentional shift to simple, whole foods, fresh vegetables, fruits, lean proteins, legumes, and whole grains, can reduce inflammation, lower blood pressure, and provide vital nutrients that strengthen cardiac tissue. Cooking at home, using herbs instead of salt, and reading labels carefully are small habits that compound into powerful health benefits. The enduring message: food is not just fuel, it is instruction to the body. Processed meals may fill the stomach, but they often starve the heart. Choosing real, nutrient-dense food is not about perfection, it is about protection. Number 4. Bottling up emotions. Harvard researchers found that chronic emotional suppression is linked to a 35% higher risk of heart disease. This is not merely a psychological issue, it is a physiological reality. Emotional pain, when left unspoken or unmanaged, creates chemical reactions in the body that affect the heart as deeply as poor diet or lack of exercise. When anger, grief, loneliness, or fear are pushed aside, the nervous system enters a prolonged state of stress. Cortisol and adrenaline levels rise, heart rate accelerates, and blood vessels constrict. This state, repeated over time, causes inflammation, hypertension, arrhythmia, and even changes in heart rhythm patterns. Emotional bottling, in essence, becomes silent cardiovascular damage. Many individuals, especially those raised with values of stoicism or emotional restraint, believe expressing emotion is a sign of weakness or burden. Yet studies consistently show that emotional openness, whether through talking, writing, or therapeutic practices, reduces blood pressure, improves immune function, and enhances cardiovascular recovery after illness. One case involved a retired military veteran in his late 60s who had lost both his spouse and several close friends within a year. He smiled through appointments, insisting he was fine, yet his heart told another story. Elevated blood pressure, erratic heart rhythms, and chronic fatigue all pointed to unresolved emotional strain. After he began grief counseling and joined a local support group, his symptoms improved within 2 months, without any medication adjustments. Releasing emotions in safe, structured ways does not weaken the heart, it strengthens it. Whether through journaling, prayer, counseling, or simple, honest conversation, Expressing inner turmoil lightens the physiological load the heart carries each day. The life-saving takeaway: the heart is not only a pump, but also a mirror of what is held inside. Bottled pain builds silent pressure. Letting it out, gently and honestly, is one of the most protective acts for lifelong heart health. Number 5. Avoiding regular checkups. As Dr. Sanjay Gupta once said, the most dangerous health problems are the ones that don't cause symptoms until it's too late. Cardiovascular disease is often silent in its early stages. Elevated blood pressure, high cholesterol, and early arterial plaque typically do not produce pain, fatigue, or any outward sign. Yet these are the very conditions that lead to heart attacks, strokes, and heart failure if left unchecked. In the absence of symptoms, many believe that feeling well means being well. This assumption delays detection of treatable issues until they become irreversible. The American Heart Association reports that over 47% of adults in the United States have hypertension, and many of them are undiagnosed. Routine screenings for blood pressure, blood glucose, cholesterol, and kidney function provide an early warning system that saves lives. These tests are quick, affordable, and often covered by insurance or community health programs. In one well-documented case, a man in his mid-60s came in for a checkup only because his daughter insisted. He felt healthy and had never experienced chest pain. However, testing revealed dangerously high cholesterol and early-stage diabetes. With immediate lifestyle changes and proper medication, he avoided a near-certain cardiac event within the next few years. The intervention came just in time, not because of symptoms, but because of vigilance. Checkups are not about reacting to illness. They are about staying ahead of it. They provide clarity, prevention, and peace of mind. Each appointment is an opportunity to track progress, adjust habits, and prevent complications long before they manifest. The essential reminder: what cannot be felt can still be fatal. Silence is not safety. Regular screenings are acts of respect for the body, tools of empowerment, and pillars of long-term heart protection. Prevention begins not with fear, but with knowing. Number 6. Falling into chronic sleep deprivation. Imagine a symphony orchestra performing every night without rest, its instruments never tuned, its musicians never sleeping. Eventually, even the finest performance collapses under exhaustion. The human heart, like that orchestra, requires deep, restorative sleep to function in rhythm, harmony, and strength. When sleep becomes shallow, disrupted, or shortened night after night, the consequences extend far beyond fatigue. The cardiovascular system depends on sleep to reset blood pressure, regulate heartbeat, and reduce inflammatory stress hormones. During deep sleep stages, heart rate slows, blood vessels relax, and the body enters a state of repair. When that cycle is broken repeatedly, the heart is denied its chance to heal. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention estimates that 1 in 3 adults in the United States does not get enough sleep, placing millions at increased risk for hypertension, stroke, and heart disease. Scientific studies from Harvard Medical School confirm that sleeping fewer than 6 hours per night on a regular basis increases the risk of coronary artery disease by 48%. Moreover, poor sleep affects metabolic health, raising blood sugar and insulin resistance, which further taxes the heart. The body interprets sleep deprivation as stress, triggering a cascade of reactions that keep blood pressure elevated even during rest. One elderly patient, formerly a nurse on rotating night shifts, struggled with fragmented sleep long after retirement. Her heart rate remained elevated during the night, her blood pressure resisted medication, and her energy declined steadily. After implementing sleep hygiene practices, including dimming lights, limiting screen time, and establishing a fixed bedtime, her cardiovascular markers improved within weeks. Sleep is not wasted time. It is scheduled healing. Deep, consistent rest is as vital to heart health as clean food or daily movement. Without it, the body runs on borrowed energy. The enduring truth: no machine runs endlessly without maintenance. Let sleep be the tune-up the heart so desperately needs. Number 7. Becoming socially isolated. A crowded room can feel empty, and a quiet morning can feel alive. The difference lies not in sound or space, but in connection. Social isolation is not defined by the absence of people, but by the absence of meaningful interaction, and this absence carries profound risks for heart health. Studies have consistently shown that social isolation is associated with a significantly higher risk of cardiovascular disease, stroke, and even early mortality. Research published in Heart Journal found that individuals with limited social contact were 29% more likely to experience heart disease and 32% more likely to suffer a stroke. The impact of social isolation has been compared by public health experts to smoking 15 cigarettes per day. Human connection reduces levels of cortisol, supports immune function, and regulates blood pressure and heart rate. Meaningful social interaction stimulates the release of oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone, which protects against inflammation and promotes cardiovascular resilience. Isolation, on the other hand, weakens the heart not just metaphorically, but biologically. In one notable case, a widow in her early 80s stopped attending her church and community events after the loss of her partner. Over time, her sense of fatigue grew, her appetite decreased, and her blood pressure began to fluctuate despite stable medication. Encouraged by her family, she joined a community garden project where she made new friends and rekindled a sense of belonging. Within 2 months, her energy returned, her cardiovascular health stabilized, and her outlook on life changed entirely. True health cannot thrive in isolation. Connection is not simply a comfort, it is a form of biological nourishment. A shared conversation, a walk with a neighbor, or a regular phone call may seem small, yet these acts carry immense therapeutic weight. The lasting lesson: hearts beat stronger in companionship. To stay well, stay connected. Number 8. Drinking alcohol to unwind. One drink a night can quietly undo a decade of heart health. While this may sound extreme, the impact of alcohol on the aging cardiovascular system is more serious than most realize. Despite popular beliefs that small amounts of alcohol, particularly red wine, may be heart protective, newer evidence suggests that even moderate drinking poses risks, especially beyond age 60. With age, the body metabolizes alcohol more slowly, leading to higher blood concentrations and more prolonged effects on organs. The heart becomes more vulnerable to alcohol-induced inflammation, elevated blood pressure, irregular heartbeat, and weakened muscle contractions. A comprehensive study published in The Lancet analyzed over 600,000 individuals and concluded that the safest level of alcohol consumption for heart health is none. Regular drinking, even in small amounts, interferes with sleep quality, raises nighttime blood pressure, and interacts negatively with many medications commonly prescribed in older age, such as those for hypertension, cholesterol, or diabetes. These interactions can render medications less effective or amplify side effects, increasing the risk of complications. Clinical observations reveal that many older adults turn to alcohol for relaxation or sleep assistance. However, this short-term relief comes at a long-term cost. In one case, a retired school teacher in her 70s began having a nightly glass of wine to cope with loneliness and sleep trouble. Over time, her blood pressure increased, her sleep became fragmented, and she developed atrial fibrillation. Upon replacing the evening drink with herbal tea and a guided breathing routine, her symptoms gradually resolved. Alcohol may feel like a companion, but for the aging heart, it is a disruptive force. Substituting alcohol with calming rituals, such as music, warm beverages, light stretching, or meditation, restores rather than erodes cardiovascular strength. The essential takeaway: what soothes in the moment may harm over time. Protecting the heart means choosing restoration over sedation, clarity over escape. Number 9. Clinging to old grudges. Imagine carrying a heavy stone in each pocket every day, never setting them down, never forgetting they're there. At first, the weight seems manageable. Over time, the burden begins to wear on the body, affect posture, limit movement, and eventually cause pain in places unrelated to the source. This is the toll that holding on to grudges places on the heart. Unforgiveness is more than an emotional position. It is a chronic physiological stressor. When resentment or unresolved anger lingers, the body responds as if under threat. Stress hormones rise, heart rate increases, blood vessels constrict, and inflammation spreads through the vascular system. Over time, this constant tension weakens heart function, raises blood pressure, and increases the risk of cardiac events. A study published in Journal of Behavioral Medicine found that forgiveness is associated with lower heart rate and blood pressure, and greater cardiovascular recovery following stress. Bitterness becomes a long-term signal to the nervous system that danger has not passed. This activates the sympathetic nervous system, placing the heart in a state of heightened vigilance that, when prolonged, wears down resilience and recovery. Even when the original hurt is decades old, the body keeps reacting as if it happened yesterday. In one clinical case, a man in his late 60s reported frequent chest tightness, despite normal test results. His medical workup revealed no blockages, but his emotional history revealed a deep estrangement from a sibling lasting over 30 years. After initiating a process of emotional release through therapy and personal reflection, his symptoms subsided. Letting go is not forgetting or excusing. It is choosing freedom over friction. Forgiveness offers measurable benefits for cardiovascular health and mental well-being. The act of releasing long-held pain lifts a hidden weight from the heart. The lesson endures. Peace is not passive. It is a conscious healing choice. A lighter heart beats longer. Number 10. Staying too long in sedentary routines. Stillness is not safety. Extended periods of sitting, whether in a recliner, at a computer, or in front of a television, pose significant risks to cardiovascular health. The human body was designed for movement, and when deprived of it for hours each day, the circulatory system slows, muscles weaken, and the heart must work harder to maintain function. Sedentary behavior reduces insulin sensitivity, elevates cholesterol levels, and contributes to blood pooling in the legs. Over time, these changes increase the risk of blood clots, heart attacks, and strokes. A study published in Annals of Internal Medicine concluded that adults who sit for more than 8 hours a day without regular physical activity have a risk of death similar to that caused by smoking and obesity combined. This issue is especially concerning in older adults who may spend more time indoors or resting due to perceived physical limitations or lack of structure in retirement. Yet, prolonged stillness, even in the absence of fatigue, accelerates age-related decline in circulation, balance, and cardiovascular performance. One older adult, a former accountant, spent most days reading or watching television after retiring. Over the course of a year, despite no changes in diet, he experienced rising blood pressure, joint stiffness, and noticeable shortness of breath during simple tasks. With guidance, he began standing up every 30 minutes, taking short walks inside his home, and adding light stretching to his routine. Within 3 months, his blood pressure stabilized and his endurance improved. Avoiding long periods of sitting does not require strenuous effort. Standing while talking on the phone, walking during commercial breaks, or setting a timer to remind movement every half hour can yield powerful benefits. The clear truth: motion is medicine. Sedentary routines do not preserve energy, they quietly diminish it. Rest can be restorative, but too much of it invites decline. Keep moving, keep living. Number 11. Constantly consuming negative media. What if the heart could hear what the eyes see? The media consumed daily, whether news, television, or social platforms, has a direct and measurable impact on cardiovascular health. Although it may not seem physically harmful to sit and watch the evening news or scroll through a phone, exposure to constant negativity silently shapes the body's internal response to stress. Repetitive viewing of distressing or fear-based content triggers the fight-or-flight response, even when no real danger is present. This state elevates stress hormones, increases blood pressure, accelerates heart rate, and sustains low-grade inflammation throughout the vascular system. Over time, this persistent state of alertness wears down the heart and nervous system, contributing to hypertension, arrhythmias, and even immune suppression. A study from the University of California found that people who watched extended hours of negative news reported significantly higher levels of anxiety and physical stress symptoms, including elevated cortisol and disrupted sleep. These effects are more pronounced in older adults, whose nervous systems may be slower to return to baseline after emotional stimulation. One retired woman, known for staying informed, watched cable news throughout the day. Though physically inactive, her heart rate remained elevated even at rest, and sleep became fragmented. When advised to limit news exposure to one brief update per day and substitute the rest with uplifting books, music, and nature walks, her blood pressure dropped and her mood stabilized within weeks. Protecting the heart means filtering not only what enters the body, but also what enters the mind. Replacing constant streams of negativity with calming content, positive conversations, or creative activities allows the nervous system to relax and the heart to recover. The lesson holds true. Information overload becomes inflammation overload. Choose input that brings clarity, not chaos. The heart thrives not just on nutrients and exercise, but on peace. Feed it wisely. Number 12. Neglecting dental health. Picture: a quiet morning, the bathroom mirror fogged, a toothbrush resting untouched beside the sink. Days pass with quick rinses, skipped flossing, and the promise of, "I'll do it tomorrow." It feels harmless, but beneath the surface, the mouth may already be sending silent signals to the heart. Oral health and cardiovascular health are deeply intertwined. The mouth is home to over 700 species of bacteria. Without regular brushing and flossing, harmful bacteria flourish, leading to gum inflammation, bleeding, and eventually periodontal disease. From there, bacteria and inflammatory chemicals can enter the bloodstream and travel directly to the heart, contributing to arterial plaque, endocarditis, and systemic inflammation. Research published by the American Heart Association confirms a strong correlation between gum disease and increased risk of heart attack and stroke. People with periodontal disease are nearly twice as likely to suffer from coronary artery disease. Even mild gum infections can raise C-reactive protein levels, a marker of inflammation known to affect heart health. One gentleman in his early 70s, who had not visited a dentist in over a decade, came in for heart palpitations and fatigue. While his labs were mostly normal, a routine dental exam revealed advanced gum disease. After undergoing deep cleaning and beginning daily oral care routines, his cardiovascular symptoms lessened, and his energy returned steadily. Daily oral hygiene is one of the simplest, most overlooked forms of heart protection. Brushing teeth twice a day with fluoride toothpaste, flossing once daily, and visiting a dentist twice a year form a basic routine that supports not just a healthy smile, but a strong cardiovascular system. The insight is simple but powerful. The heart listens to the mouth more than expected. Neglected gums can whisper harm to the arteries. A clean mouth protects far more than appearance. It defends life itself. Number 13. Refusing to ask for help. Here's a secret few are willing to admit. Independence, when taken too far, can quietly become a threat to health. The belief that asking for help is a sign of weakness or burden is deeply ingrained in many, especially among older generations shaped by resilience, pride, and self-reliance. Yet, the refusal to seek support, whether emotional, physical, or practical, places silent strain on the heart. When help is avoided, small health concerns are often ignored. Medications go unreviewed, and emotional distress remains hidden. Stress accumulates, and the cardiovascular system bears the weight. Harvard researchers have found that chronic self-sufficiency, when paired with social isolation, raises the risk of heart disease by over 25% due to unaddressed physical needs and elevated psychological stress. In clinical practice, many patients delay appointments, skip refills, or avoid difficult conversations simply because they don't want to bother anyone. One man in his late 60s lived alone and began experiencing dizzy spells. Rather than calling a friend or family member, he waited weeks until he collapsed from undiagnosed atrial fibrillation. After recovery, he admitted he hadn't wanted to seem like a burden. That silence nearly cost his life. Asking for help, whether it's a ride to the doctor, clarification on medication, or emotional support during grief, is not a sign of decline. It is a courageous act of self-preservation. The body thrives when stress is shared, decisions are supported, and emotions are expressed safely. Reaching out does not mean giving up control. It means allowing others to walk alongside during seasons when strength is uneven. Accepting help builds trust, reduces anxiety, and lowers physiological tension, benefits that directly protect the heart. The quiet truth: vulnerability is not a flaw. It is a pathway to healing. Letting someone in, even just a little, can lighten the load the heart carries each day. Number 14. Comparing yourself to your younger self. At a family gathering, two voices clash. Back in my day, I could mow the lawn, fix the roof, and dance all night, says one. You're not 40 anymore, replies the other. The room goes quiet. Beneath the humor lies a painful tension: how aging is often measured not by possibility, but by comparison to a younger self. This habit, though common, quietly diminishes self-worth, and more dangerously, places subtle strain on the heart. Research in the field of psychocardiology has shown that negative self-perception related to aging increases stress hormone production, lowers motivation for physical activity, and heightens cardiovascular reactivity to emotional triggers. A study published in the journal Health Psychology found that individuals who view aging with negativity are significantly more likely to experience elevated blood pressure and reduced recovery after heart-related events. The body is constantly adapting. Comparing present abilities to those of decades past often leads to frustration, denial, or overexertion, each of which can contribute to fatigue, injury, or cardiac strain. Many push beyond current limits, trying to prove they haven't changed, ignoring signs of breathlessness, dizziness, or joint pain, all in pursuit of a past standard. One woman in her early 70s attempted to resume her previous workout routine from her 40s. After a week of joint swelling and exhaustion, she realized the goal wasn't to match her past, but to meet her present with respect. After shifting to gentle yoga, walking, and strength training adapted to her current energy levels, she experienced renewed vitality without sacrificing safety. Aging is not a decline, it is a transformation. The heart does not grieve lost youth. It simply asks for care that matches today's needs. Measuring progress by today's courage, not yesterday's endurance, brings dignity, peace, and protection to the cardiovascular system. The truth endures. Honoring the present is the highest form of strength. Number 15. Forgetting to have something to look forward to. Step forward. Plan something. Anything. A walk with a friend, a small garden project, a family dinner, a class on something new. Anticipation is not a luxury, it is a biological necessity. When life no longer offers something to look forward to, the heart begins to drift. Days blur, purpose fades, and over time, the body responds by slowing its rhythm, both emotionally and physically. Hope is not abstract. It is chemical. Anticipation triggers the release of dopamine, a neurotransmitter that enhances mood, improves motivation, and supports cardiovascular function. A study in psychosomatic medicine found that older adults with a strong sense of future purpose had significantly lower rates of heart disease, better sleep, and reduced inflammation. Without future-oriented thinking, routines become stagnant. The nervous system falls into patterns of monotony, which can lead to mild depression, decreased movement, and lack of engagement, all of which negatively affect heart health. The absence of forward momentum contributes to higher resting heart rate and increased vascular resistance over time. In one example, an 82-year-old man began organizing weekly chess matches at the local library after years of quiet retirement. What started as a simple pastime soon turned into a community hub. His energy returned, blood pressure improved, and his cardiologist reported measurable gains in heart resilience. The difference? Not the game, but the expectation of meaningful interaction. Having something to look forward to, no matter how small, revives the spirit and protects the heart. A planned phone call, a day trip, a letter in the mail, or a new recipe to try can spark joy and reawaken a sense of movement toward life. The message is simple, but vital. Stagnation weakens the heart, but purpose strengthens it. Look ahead. Choose hope on purpose. Even the smallest light in the future casts warmth on the present. When you look at all these habits, one truth shines through. The heart is not just a pump, it is a reflection of how you live. It feels your food, your movement, your sleep, your emotions, your relationships, even your hope for the future. Every choice you make leaves a mark, either strengthening or straining it. Isolation, silence, processed food, and stillness slowly weaken the heart in ways you don't notice until it's too late. But the opposite is also true. A phone call, a walk, a fresh meal, a night of real rest, a moment of forgiveness, a reason to look forward. These small acts restore life and power to the heart. The message is simple. Connection heals, movement protects, purpose sustains. The heart doesn't ask for perfection, only consistency. It rewards small, daily acts of care with strength, clarity, and years of life. So don't wait. Start today. Take one step. Make one call. Choose one better meal. Smile, breathe, forgive, rest, and hope. Each small choice is proof. Life is still flowing, and your heart is still listening. If this is your first time here, or if you haven't subscribed yet, hit subscribe to our channel today so you never miss the next life-changing message. And we'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching. May your days be filled with health, peace, and joy in these golden years. Remember, every heartbeat is a gift. Protect it, cherish it, live it fully.